So, good evening, everybody. I'm Maggie Mckee. I'm a guest host, and I'm excited to see so many people on the call. This is such an important thing that we do, sharing the stories that people have where they have experienced a change in the quality of their life by using the technologies that Nikken, this 45-year-old research and development company, has brought to the world. And we're too quiet. Most people still don't know about Nikken, so we need to shout from the rafters how fabulous these technologies are. I know when I joined 27 years ago, if you can believe it, I had had chronic discomfort for 30 years and nothing. I mean, I had spent so much time and so much money, like a lot of people, to find relief that wasn't the medical way, because the medical way wasn't working for me. And so I would get a bit of relief from complementary technologies, I would call them, like massage and so on, but nothing was permanent until I was introduced to Nikken. And I realized the difference was that a wellness home, which is the overarching term we have for the products that we have that make our home a wellness environment, that we're in that, not 24/7, because we do go out, but we're in that environment most of the time. So it's like a greenhouse where we can thrive. So I'm really excited to have some very special people tonight sharing their experiences. And just a quick reminder, because it's very, very key that we be compliant. Does anybody know what that means? What's compliant? Barbara Richmond, tell us what compliant is. You have to unmute, love.
Do not use any medical terms, whether you've received a specific diagnosis from your practitioner or not. Use generalized terms that the public would understand, but no medical terms under any circumstances.
And believe it or not, there's a word that we all use all the time that I didn't know was a medical term. Does anybody know what that word is? It's a four-letter word, pain, right? So we're not to use that either in association with our products, because our products are not, they haven't got the FDA and the Health Canada, stamp of this is a medical device. So we can't talk medical. Okay, everybody clear on that? So fabulous. Thank you, Barbara, for sending that. I did send it out on a couple of the chats, so hope people have that in line, because whenever you're talking about your experience with these technologies, it's really important to protect all of us, Nikken, the company, as well as us, the consultants, by being compliant with what's required by the FTC and the FDA and all those, those letters. So the first person I'm going to ask to share a story tonight is Caryn Willens. I have had the pleasure of working with Caryn off and on over the last few years. And Caryn, would you please start by telling us what was your life like before you were introduced to Nikken, briefly, where you're from, of course, your name and where you're from, but also how you got introduced to Nikken very briefly, and then what's the new story, the rest of the story. How do you feel now? So Caryn.
Sure, I'd be happy to, Maggie. Thank you for asking me to do this. 17 years ago, I literally could barely function. I had excruciating discomfort in my head. I had excruciating discomfort in my muscles throughout my body. My brain was having difficulties functioning, so the rest of me didn't function very well either. Sleeping was a definite problem. If I had one good night's sleep in 3 weeks, that was a lot. I had already retired from my profession as a dental hygienist because I could not hold the instruments. And nobody wants sharp instruments used in their mouth from somebody who hasn't been sleeping well. And so I was desperate looking for solutions. My tailbone, my spine, my neck were really, when I say the word agony, that's an understatement. And in my profession now as a doctor of natural health, I had to sit in workshops for 3 and 4 days at a time. And I met a woman at one of the workshops who was sitting on something, and I didn't know what it was, but I was so desperate. I just went up to her and I said, "Excuse me, what is that thing you're sitting on?" And ultimately we got together and I learned that the company that it was from was called Nikken. She coached me and introduced me to the products. And over the course of the last 17 years, I not only function well, I became a certified yoga teacher 5 years ago. I didn't even know yoga at the time. And so I was in a class with 20-year-olds and I managed to keep up with them. That was a great accomplishment from somebody whose muscles were in so much discomfort previously. One of the things I found out about myself along the way is I'm very sensitive to energies, particularly electromagnetic frequencies. And there are two products that actually help me with that. So I do a lot of Zooms, and that electromagnetic frequency really wears my energy down. So the two products that have really helped me and boost my energy are the grounding mat and the Siaga. And whenever I'm done with Zooms, I'll either go into my sleep system and put my hands on my grounding mat, or I will grab Siaga, sometimes both. And my energy with the Siaga particularly, I can feel my energy come back within 1 minute, which is amazing. And it happens every single time. So I am very grateful for Nikken, for the technologies, for the products, for living in a wellness home, because it has really changed my life. Thank you,
Wow.
Maggie.
Caryn, that is an amazing, powerful story. I had no idea. I mean, I've heard bits and pieces, but I had no idea what it was like in terms of how much discomfort and agony you were in for so many years, like I was. And now it's like, whoa. So, do you often get feedback from people, well, this is too good to be true kind of thing? Because it sounds like it's a fantasy, but it's true, isn't it? My goodness.
It is true. And my clients are always amazed when they get such subtle and effective results.
That's great. Thank you so much, Caryn, for sharing that story. Well done. And we're going to go to Gary Lindner now. We have to let the guys have a bit of a chance here.
Thank you, Maggie. My name is Gary Lindner. I have a doctorate degree in physiology. And my first introduction to Nikken wasn't from a family member, a friend, or anybody I even knew. I was actually working in China, and I was invited to spend a day at the health spa before I came home. And the physical therapist that owned that spa noticed I had a neck injury. And I'd had one for about 3 years. Most people get them from a car wreck, and my hands were numb. My flexibility wasn't very good at all. And I was in discomfort. And he noticed, you have a neck injury. I said, yeah, I do. And he said, I have some products that may help you from a Japanese company. And I said, what kind of products? And he showed me some products that basically use magnetic technology. Now, I'd never heard of using these kind of products for health. And I was quite skeptical. And I might mention, it's okay to be skeptical because that means you have questions. I mean, I wasn't pessimistic, I was skeptical, but it intrigued me. I came home from that trip and I looked at my local paper 24 hours later from talking to this gentleman in China, and adjacent to the Little League scores, because I was catching up on my son's Little League scores, was a half-page article about this company from Japan helping people with magnetic technology all over the world. And I said, now that's weird. I mean, here I am at opposite ends of the earth. A week later, I'm in Eugene, Oregon, doing some work, walking through a lobby of a Red Lion Hotel to have dinner with some clients. A gentleman comes up behind me, taps me on the back of the shoulder, and says, excuse me, sir, I can tell by the way that you're walking and moving, and I'm a physical therapist at the University of Oregon, that you have a neck injury. And I said, yeah, I do. He says, you know what? We're having a meeting here tonight at this hotel, and we have some products that might help you. The company's called Nikken. And I said, okay, Now that's weird. In the space of a week, here's something that's being brought to my attention, and it's been brought to my attention 3 times. All right. And like I said, not from people I knew. So either Nikken was stalking me, or there was something going on here that I needed to pay attention to. So again, having that skepticism, but being intrigued by the possibilities, I did a literature search on magnetics and health. And that first literature search told up about 1,200 references. And this was some time ago, this was about 25 years ago. And of those 1,200 references, what impressed me as a physiologist, about 75% of those peer-reviewed papers were in veterinary medical journals. Now, why would that impress me? Animals have no placebos. Things either work or they don't work. So that really kind of clicked a switch for me, saying, wow, there's got to be something to this. So I found a Nikken consultant, a distributor that lived about 30 miles away from me. And to date myself again, I found him in the phone book under wellness products. And I called him up and I invested in 2 products. And one was a massage product for my neck, 2 little spinning balls that created a magnetic field. And the second were Nikken's flagship product, a pair of insoles. Did I expect these products to work? I really didn't expect them to give me the results that I actually ended up with. Short of surgery, my medical professional team said, and I was in my early 40s at the time, and they said, Gary, by the time you're 50, you aren't going to be able to move because you'll have so many arthritic changes in that neck. You'll want to have a surgery. But at that point in my life, that's the last thing that I wanted. So I was looking for some type of alternative. But again, with that healthy skepticism, I gave the products a try. And within a couple of weeks, the numbness I'd experienced for 2 years or 3 years in my hands went away. I didn't really notice that till I burned my fingers one evening and I went, ow. And that wouldn't have happened before. The flexibility came back, and that introduced me to the concept of a lot of possibilities. And with Nikken's robust product line, I wanted to invest in more. I wanted to educate myself about more. I wanted to create that greenhouse for myself and my family, the Nikken Wellness Home. And I've been an advocate for that for 25 years. It is my passion to share this message with people that really many of the things that you're suffering from or worrying about have natural solutions. And that's really what we're all about, Maggie. So thank you for inviting me to share.
Thank you, Gary. Maybe you ever thought that because you have a doctorate that the universe had to give you a lot more nudges?
I think so. Yeah, it's like I'm not the sharpest pencil in the box, but it takes a couple of times to get hit upside the head before I pay attention. So, and Heather would probably agree with that too. So yeah.
I'm very glad that you are part of this team because you and Heather contribute so much to the wellness community, the worldwide wellness community. So thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
We're going to go to Canada now because Barbara Richmond, she may be wanting to get off the phone and celebrate our national holiday today. So Barbara Richmond, would you come in, please?
Thank you, Maggie. As Maggie said, I'm Barbara Richmond and I'm from Ontario, Canada, a retired registered nurse from intensive and coronary care. This is Air Month, and because of that, I'm going to tell you 2 very quick stories about the Kenko Air Purifier. This time of year where I live, I'm in farm country, and the farmers are spreading raw manure on the fields. Now, you step outside your home, your eyes sting. If you don't have a mask on, your nose will sting. It's just not pleasant. But you step inside a home with a Kenko Air Purifier, and there's not a trace of that horrendous scent from outside. Another benefit of the Kenko Air Purifier, whenever Wayne and I traveled, we always took it in the car with us. If we went into a motel, even though the motel room was non-smoking, if it had been a smoking room at some time, the residual smell was still present. We'd plug the Kenko Air Purifier in. We would go out and have a very pleasant dinner. And by the time we came back, that smell, that lingering smell, was no longer prevalent. it not only cleared the smells and clears the smells for me now, it also contributes to an incredible night's sleep. And the beauty of it is the first filter is a permanent filter. You can vacuum it weekly and you can wash it with soap and water. Just make sure it's thoroughly dry before you put it back in the unit. And the filters behind, the HEPA 13 filter, check it out on the CDC and click HEPA 13 and you will see what the HEPA 13 is capable of doing. An incredible product that I never want to be without. Thanks for having me, Maggie.
Thank you, Barbara. Yes, I mean, I've got 4 units in my house, and I'll tell you, during the last 2+ years that we have been worried about airborne viruses and so on, it has been such a comfort. As the CDC says, that's the solution that we can only use. And thank you, because it is Air Month, for sharing those 2 really brilliant stories. So I'm going to then go to Drusilla, Drusilla, do you want to come on? Because I don't want to tell your story for you, but I understand you might have to unmute because I muted you. You have come back into Nikken after hiatus, and you're with Sherry Danzig, and you have a customer whose story you want to share with us tonight. So can you come on, Drusilla, and tell us a little bit more? Where'd you go? Have I still muted you? Let me see here. Let me unmute you. I'm gonna have to ask you to unmute now. So you just get that mute button off there. Ah, good. Thank you. Thank you. So welcome.
So hello, everybody. Yes, I'm in the Atlanta area, and I've been with Nikken since 2000. And so I come and go, as people do. I have a spa that I have, and I have the pad on the massage table, and I use all the products, and I have a wellness home. So I had a lady come in to me that was interested in some of the things that I do, and she didn't tell me that she had been hurting for years, and that her and her husband had hoped when they retired that they could do some traveling. And because she hurt all the time, she couldn't take any long trips in the car, in a plane, or really have the retirement that they dreamed about. So I loaned her a pad to sleep on. And 4 days later, she ordered the king size for her own bed because she was sleeping and hadn't slept for years. And she wasn't hurting as bad. So now she's on her king size pad, and her husband and her both are elated, and now they're looking at getting a wellness home.
That's how it begins, isn't it, Drusilla?
My prayer is that I can get her back to where they can fulfill those dreams of travel.
No kidding. And isn't that one of the biggest rewards? I mean, yes, Nikken compensates us financially very well. And I think that the experiences people have on these products is an even bigger reward. Would you agree?
Absolutely. That's why I've always shared the products. And now I'm ready to start building the business again. So
well, you've got a whole.
Yeah, the first time around I made it to platinum, and then I went active.
That's not too shabby. Not too shabby.
No, yeah.
And you've got a whole community here to help you as well.
Yes, yes. And I'm just really excited to be able to help somebody, and that she thanked me, but I told her she was a blessing to me for allowing the information through so that she could get the help.
Exactly. That open-mindedness is really important. So that's a wrap for tonight, folks. So please remember that the person that you invited on here may not have all of your information, and they need that in order to have an access to additional information that you can share with them and some follow-up. So please make sure that gets to your guests. And I want